Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! It's the event of the century. This weekend, experience the carnage, the explosions, the women, in Crash City's Grand Champions Combat Racing event. Forget about how half the population died from war and famine the last few years from interdimensional beings of darkness. Because it's time to get ready, gear up, and race off!
I don't think y'all realize how long I've wanted to do this. Now, Jak X Combat Racing is a game that put me in a little bit of a creative pickle. It's a title that many people know cause Naughty Dog ain't exactly underground, and it recently got ported to the PlayStation 4, thank God. So it really didn't fit in my criteria for a quote-unquote do you remember video, and it's not exactly the most complex or sought-after game to justify it for beginners, because those are a massive time sink, so instead of trying to fit it into a bubble it doesn't really belong in, here we are. I really love Jak X, so I want to talk about it, just like I did with the games that came before it, and you should totally check out that video if you haven't gotten the chance, wink wonk, plug. But allow me to yell about Jak X Combat Racing, the last Naughty Dog game on the PlayStation 2. And to start off, let's give a rundown of how it even came to be. Throwback to 2004, the wannabe hardcore culture is in full swing, MCR is a band, and Jak 3 comes out. People absolutely love it, the trilogy finally wraps up, the closure is accepted, and Naughty Dog sets their eyes on the PlayStation 3 prize for their next big series. The catch is, video games take a while to make and people are impatient, so taking a few pointers from the past, Naughty Dog puts into development Jak X Combat Racing, a means to give the company some wiggle room to work on Uncharted, because Jak X wasn't exactly the most complicated thing to make since most of the assets and mechanics were already present in Jak 3, cause you know, half of that game involved buggies with guns strapped to them, so just go with what you got, I guess. But at the same time, who's complaining? The game had a butter-smooth development, like absurdly smooth, to the point where there really isn't that much information on it except for the fact that it was fast, easy, and cost $10 million. And the proof is in the pudding, y'all, because the game hit PlayStation 2 less than 1 year after Jak 3. Now, one thing to note about Jak X, though, is that this was the first game created by the studio after the exit of Naughty Dog's founders, Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin. Granted, this was a fun send-off project, so there wasn't really a need for the creative touch of the founders to push the series forward or anything, so it was a good title for them to peace out on, if you know what I mean. But who cares how it came to be? The point is that Jak X is one stupid fun racing game with guns, explosions, and sexy people. And while it really didn't have a lot of the AAA star power the trilogy did, it didn't feel like some cheap cop-out. It's a total package game, and just like the games before it, it wasn't cutting any corners, even in the story department. Normally in racing games, the story is at the bottom of the agenda list, right next to hair physics and vegan representation, but Jak X had a full fleshed-out plot. Continuing after the events of Jak 3, the gang finds themselves in the race-crazed town Crash City, a new place outside of Haven City that we've never heard of up until now, but guess no one in the past games would have really known about outside cities under a totalitarian information-controlled power-hungry regime, but it's whatever, we be out here. But the gang comes to Crash City to read the will of Crew from Jak 2, who got barbecued by the big boob bomb, and the will reading is hosted by Crew's daughter, who we also conveniently have never heard of before, Rain.
Crew? Reproduced?
And when everyone drinks to Crew's memory with the special vintage he left behind, surprise, surprise, y'all, Crew's data will reveals that the drinks are laced with a slow poison, and the only way to get the antidote is to win the Crash City Grand Championship. Because Crew always wanted to win the thing, and gosh dang it, he's gonna go about it the most contrived way he possibly could from beyond the grave. So the gang is put between a rock and a gross place, and are forced to race or else they're gonna crap their insides out or something. Now, needless to say, it raises the stakes and gives them some motivation. Once they get racing, though, they are put into the spotlight by the charismatic ratings-obsessed TV host GT Blitz, who constantly reminds them that racing is indeed
the most watched sport in the world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Later in the story, though, the team is harassed by Crash City's gang run by a mysterious man named Mizo, who also really wants to win the Grand Championship, because he maybe sorta kinda made a bet with Crew back in the day over the ownership of each other's dirty business, which Crew low-key did disclose right away to Jak's team. So the very much alive Mizo employs a bunch of other racers to kick in Jak's tight pants in order to win this bet, like Beep Boop Death Robot, Attractive Robe Guy, Diaper Baby, this dude, and Edge. with a J. Okay, you know, I'm not about to dissect the entire plot here. It's got lots of jokes, gives you more lore, has some neat characters, along with some twists and turns, but by no means is this thing getting any Oscars. Shocker, the group beats Mizo, who was just GT Blitz in a wig the whole time. You get the antidote, everyone lives happily ever after, and the game ends with Rain becoming a more ruthless and power-hungry crime lord than her father and creating a gang monopoly. Ah yes, a tale as old as time. But it's a cute story that does justice to the series, considering this was the last real installment. But there are a few things about the the plot that just stick out to me. Back to the gang thing, Razor, the token Jack rival, along with other people in the game, keep mentioning how they're hiring top drivers and mercenaries to compete in the races, and oh boy, they're sure gonna get it. But like, minus Cleaver and the robot who show up later, you're always racing against the same guys. Heck, half the races include people from your own team, so I'm not sure what that's about. Basically, this game was in desperate need for more enemy drivers to be consistent with the plot, but again, it's a racing game, who cares about the plot? Obviously not me, that would be petty and stupid. But let me just go off for a second. Torn's outfit looks like crap. Like he had one of the coolest looks in Jak 2 and 3, and now he's just wearing this ugly ass shirt. So pouring out a drink for this disaster, good god. On top of that, boobs. Okay, past Jak games have had rather voluptuous character models, but Ashelin's boobs in Jak X are honestly distracting because they just keep moving. Like a gust of wind could cause these things to slap her in the face and blind the poor child. And it really wouldn't stick out so much if it wasn't for the fact that Rain's boobs look like concrete suction cups super glued to her chest. These things could take a bullet, it's unreal. Basically, the boob physics are all over the place, guys, and that's my tea of the day. You heard it here first. Other than that though, I like the story. Every time I replay this game, I always watch the cutscenes. Daxter is as funny as ever, GT Blitz and Pecker are just fun, and seeing the gang interact when it's not super tense wartime is cool. All in all, it's just a chiller environment despite the whole countdown to their possible death thing. Also, Kira and Jak get together at the end, so that's nice. I complained in my trilogy retrospect video about how Jak 3 pushed Kira into a locker and stole her lunch money, and while I didn't mention how Jak X story later fixed that issue, gosh dang it, I'm mentioning it now. True love does exist, guys! But that's all I really got on the story. I doubt many people care about the expansive Jak X lore, but the plot did give the game some more heart and context for all the racing mumbo jumbo. And speaking of which, how about that combat racing, boys?
Sunday!
Hey, get out of here, shut up, we're done. Jak X Racing is fun, it's fast, it's flashy, and deadly. Don't you just love it when titles tell you all the things you need to know? Combat racing, like breakfast burrito or non-advertiser friendly. Now, racing games aren't exactly revolutionary, but Jak X had some cool ideas up its sleeve. Think Mario Kart meets Mad Max meets Rated T for tetanus shot. You drive fast, use power-ups to get people out of your way to drive faster, and then you win races. It's a very rinse and repeat process, but it never gets old. Naughty Dog had a lot of time to practice their driving controls in Jak 2 and 3, and because of that, the driving feels real. You can taste that velocity, your drifting has some resistance, the turbo boost singes your eyebrows off, and the car has weight. Now, this is a type of game that's all about the flow and feel. If you're being reckless and boosting at the wrong time, you'll slip and slide all over the place. Learning to control your vehicle is the stuff that pays off. Like when you drift, you get more juice on your boost gauge, and if you time your boost right out of a drift, you can turn corners like a champ. There ain't no easy winning in this game, guys. You gotta know how to work those wheels. Now, outspeeding your opponent is like racing 101, but combat is a real main focus here. Now, it's not just a matter of shooting people mindlessly. You gotta time those attacks, strategize your pickups, keep the good stuff till the very last second because you can blow up if you sneeze too hard. So it's very easy to get left behind. Going from first to last within a blink of an eye can be very likely. On top of that, the AI ain't no pushover. I've played this game more time than I can count, and I still get screwed over by the AI because you're public enemy #1, bucko. So the game ain't for babies. You gotta be paying attention and work that defense like an overprotected mother, or else you're gonna get a stinky bronze medal and disgrace your family. However, even though the weapon drops are totally random, occasionally you can get really lucky with some stuff because some weapons are a little busted. There's that one lightning bolt thing that just kills whoever's in first place that's only blockable with the shield. That's pretty nifty. Or when you do enough carnage to get the Dark Eco weapons and you just melt through people like with the 4 homing missiles. Or some of the defense weapons like the turret that just makes eye contact with other cars and pie! And let's not forget the ability that just blows up everybody regardless of where they are.
Another pile-up in the turn!
Yeah, it's a little overpowered. But these weapons never feel broken because it keeps things interesting. You can use them and so can the opponent. It's pretty hard to get ahead and just smoke people to the point no one will ever be able to catch up to you like in some games because that lightning ball insta-kill attack is a lot more common than you think. Basically, you really can't play this game without blowing people up since that's like half of the gameplay. So even if you're slow, if you're good at shooting stuff, it can make up the difference. But you're gonna be killing things a lot and even get this cool slow-mo cam when you blow up and vice versa. But here's the deal. The cars full-on explode. You see the frame on fire and everything, the whole shebang. And one would assume the driver is now gone, as in deceased, as in no longer living, as in not alive. Because that happens to some of the characters in the story when their car blows up.
You have a habit of leaving people to die, don't you? You get used to it.
Yeah, he's dead. But in races, when you get blown up and you see all the slow-mo and oh my gosh, look at that destruction, wow, fire and brimstone, whoa, the screen just goes black and you're right back on your feet. Like you were transported to some cosmic nether plane every time you get bamboozled like nothing ever happened, except for maybe you're a little bit farther behind now. This bothered me as a kid, and it bothers me now. Like you just died and burst into flames, but not really. How does this work? Like I understand this is a game where the talking Otzels are god, the rainbow-flavored jelly can power a nuclear bomb, and proportional ear lengths aren't a thing, so logic is completely out the window. But like, do they teleport the driver right before the car blows up and they just have like 20 duplicates of the same car and they just stick them in that one and they just continue driving? Because that's the explanation I tell myself at night so I can finally sleep. I'm overthinking this, I know, but it's just an observation, and now you guys have to deal with this crap too, so there's that. But besides that, the game does have solid mechanics, and what seals the deal is the racing variety. It's not just going round and round on a track for every event. The game has got some stuff and things. You got long races, short races, combat modes, deathmatch, freeze rallies, artifact collecting, and the list goes on and on. Some events are all about speed, and some are all about combat, and some are a combination of both, so by no means is the game super repetitive. On top of that, the tracks themselves are really nice. Each one is different and utilizes the Jak world lore to its benefit, from the desert to the city, the jungle, just whatever. Jak X has got you covered. Of course, I hate that tunnel one in the sewers in Haven City because it's really easy to slam into stuff. Heck, I've even seen the AI commit swimbuku on this track. It's a little excessive because there's road barriers everywhere and
The winner crosses the line!
yeah, it kinda sucks. But what added the extra mwah to Jak X was the vehicles and their customizations. Throughout the campaign, you are rewarded with new cars, and at a pretty steady rate too. They can basically be categorized into beefy and slow, slim and speedy, or a hybrid between the two. Of course, some vehicles are better for certain events than others, rather be more armor, speed, better controls, etc, etc. But you are encouraged to change your vehicles often. You can also adjust the car's stats to an extent so you feel like you're working towards something with your winnings, and you can change the paint and some of the parts on the car if you feel like it. Now, to be honest, compared to some other racing games, the customization is pretty minimal, but who cares? This is my two-color palette beep beep monster and I love her. Real talk though, the Javelin and Boomer are some of my favorites. They handle the best for me and they just have a really neat design. Heck, the same can be said for the whole game. After having done 3 games with the same engine, Naughty Dog was able to get the most out of this thing, showing off more detail and effects than ever before. The UI is nice and slick, the tracks look cool, the cars look cool, Jak's new jacket is a little excessive but also kinda cool. Plus, this is the first Jak game to have a real noticeable soundtrack. Previous Jak games have had some tunes, but most of it was subtle ambiance instrumentals. The Jak X has got some major bangers that add to that shooting hype. Be excited! There's also just some tiny things the game does that I really like. For instance, I like being able to see the world areas on the menu when picking an event. Makes stuff feel a little more open and grand, plus seeing the Jak world from this angle is a first, so that's cool. Also, while picking stuff, your teammates will give you the lowdown or heads up for that specific event, which adds to the character bonding, and it fills the void so you're not just listening to the menu music. This also applies to the races with driver voice lines. Making little quips and comments throughout the events adds that hardcore combat tension.
Here's one for you, Jak.
And also everyone's really sassy. Not to mention Daxter. Look, Jak is the protagonist and crap, but having Daxter have his own vehicle would have been adorable. Let's be real, it's a massive missed opportunity in my eyes. Of course, I can imagine Daxter's size being a possible issue, so the game compromises and just sticks him on the back of Jak's car. So when you zip-zop all over the place, you see Daxter hanging on for dear life, and it's cute. They didn't have to include him in the gameplay, but they did, so much appreciated, Naughty Dog. And not so much appreciated with that hot copy secret clip thing that costs like a ton of orbs in the store just for it to be some reused voice lines of Daxter and Tess hanging out actually drinking coffee. But here's the issue with this. We know this is a reference to the GTA San Andreas sex minigame, but this is a rated T for teen game, for God's sake. Who is this for? Is this like furry bait or something for older people? What's going on, Naughty Dog? Because either way, it's weird, you gross bitch. But yeah. The team responsible for some of the greatest games in the last 20 years made a good racing title. I am the king of astute observations. You don't need to tell me, guys. I know my talent is unmatched. But here's something that's been on my mind recently. So back when Naughty Dog released the Jak Trilogy HD collection on PlayStation 3 and Vita, they didn't include Jak X, which at the time I thought was a missed opportunity and also made me kinda sad, because again, the game matches the quality of its predecessors. It was just a different game genre. But I was convinced an HD version or port would never exist, cause like, who cares about the stupid racing game? But ayo, my garbage foresight was wrong, because years after that PlayStation 3 launch, Sony ported the games again on PlayStation 4 on PSN at the end of 2017, but this time included Jak X, a dream come true for myself and many others, as in like all 7 of us. But here's the deal. Jak X had an online and split-screen multiplayer mode, which I actually got to do once when I forced my non-gamer friend to play it with me and just beat the crap out of her because she had no idea what she was doing, but I was having fun. The point is, the game was not designed to just be a solo experience, so here it comes to the PlayStation 4, and it's just a port. A normal, semi-messy, upscaled port. I understand Naughty Dog is busy off stabbing sad white people with bean can lids, but man, wouldn't it have been cool if they made a real HD remaster of this game with brand new multiplayer support? Give an older game loved by its fans a second wind of life, because I only recently befriended and discovered other fans of this game, and it would have been so amazing to play this with them. But the game just being a normal port is the best we are going to get. Mind you, I am happy about it being on something other than the PlayStation 2, but I sigh, because I doubt any company would want to take the time and money to revamp a decade-old game for a minimal fan base, but I can dream. What could have been, my friend? We may never know. Regardless of that, though, replaying this game again after so many years was refreshing. It is still very much a PlayStation 2 game, but just like the past games, it's aged well enough. And now that it's been ported, I don't have to deal with that weird endless auto-saving glitch that made me have to pull out my memory card to make it go away. It was stressful, to say the least. I digress, though. The Jak universe is unique, and I'm happy the side racing game carried over all the vibes and characters that the original games established. Jak X ain't no masterpiece, but it's fun, and at the end of the day, that's all it really has to be. I really do love this game, though, and I hope other people who never got a chance to play it on the PlayStation 2 can try it now. Jak X Combat Racing is available on PlayStation 4, PSN's network for $15. Go blow up some cars, watch Daxter yell about something, and more importantly, go fast. Okay, high key, I do kind of regret leaving Jak X out of my Jak retrospect in the past, but hey, I did say it was gonna get its own video someday, and here I am, keeping that promise. But who cares about me? Let's give thank you to the people who really matter. A special thank you to the amazing people that have sent me some stuff in my P.O. box lately. It ranged from treats packaged in a very creative way to a Japanese treats care package, and then a really cute and soft quilt that is just adorable. I absolutely love the thing. And considering my love for naps, it's definitely gonna get some good use. So thank you guys so much for sending some stuff in my P.O. box. I appreciate it so much. If you want to send me some stuff, the information is down below. I'll take whatever. Gifts, cards, notes, whatever the heck you want to send me. Everything is absolutely appreciated no matter what. And a special thank you to Littlest Shib for lending his voice to my videos once again. Lord knows I do not have the radio announcer voice, so I gotta outsource, and Shib does an amazing job every single time. So Shib, thank you very much. That's it. That's the end of the video. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. I have other things, an Instagram, a Tumblr, all the things down below. I have a Patreon if you'd like to help support me and get access to some cool stuff, so there's that. Everything down below. Please, God, help me. You know, I like doing YouTube. Yeah, follow me on other things, gosh dang it, in case YouTube just crumbles, you know, beneath my feet. It could happen, we don't know. But that's it. Get out of here. Bye-bye. Toodles.